If you're A.B. said-minded to this clay book, what curios of signs, please stoop in this Aleph bed. Can you read, since we and thou had it out already, its world? It is the same told of many, many miscegenations or miscegenations. Tiekel, they lived and laughed and loved and left. For sin thy kingdom is given to the Medes and Porsons. The Neanderthal, a loss and again, avow old. He'd burn the days when head in the clouds walked the earth. In the ignorance that implies impression, that knits knowledge, that finds the name form, that whets the wits that convey contacts, that sweetens sensation, that drives desire, that adheres to attachment, that dogs death, that bitches birth, that entails the insurance of existentiality. But with a rush out of this navel, reaching the reredos of Ramesbatham, a Terricolus vively on view this, queer, and it continues to be quaky. A hatch, a celt, an earshare, the porcoys of which was to cassay the earth crust at all of ours. Forwards, bagwards, like yoxons at a turnpat. Here say figurines, bellicose arming and mounting and arming bellicose figurines. See here, further oak. This little effigy is for a fire thing called a flint for all. Face at the east, O I fay, faced at the west. Ho ye fie, upwap and dump 'em, race to race. When a part so petit does duty for the whole us, we soon grow to use of an all for a bit. Here, please to stoop, or solve our uncued petite peas of quite a peculiar interest, in as little as they are the pellets that make the tom-tommies payroll, right rank Ragnaroks, and with these rocks orangero tangos, wrangles rough and right go wrong, wisha why did tha? Thick is for thorn, that's thuck in its thoil, like Thumrold's thwaiter, thrust for vengeance. What a nice old mess it all makes, a mitten-hide horn of objects. Olives, beets, kimmels, dollies, Alfreds, Beatties, Cormacs and Daltons, owlets, eags, oh stoop to please, are here crickish from age and all now, quite Epsilene and old Woldy, Wobblers, Hordworth a wiper grass. See the snake worms every side. Our Durlbin is swarming in snakes. They came to our island from triangular Tuchatea, beyond the wet prairie, red up in the midst of the cargan of prohibitive pomifructs, but along landed Paddy Whippingham, and the his garbage cans cotch the creeps of them. Pricker than our who's there out of man could quick up her what's that. Some divide and some the lot, but the tally turns round the same ballyfusen, racketeers and botloggers. Axe on thrax, axe and wise. 1 by 1 plays 1 be 3, ditto and 1 be 4. 2 nurses 1 makes a plausible 3, and in 'em behind, starting off with a big boa and 3-legged calvers, and Ilfagrein jaddises with a message in their mouths, and 100-felled, unleavened weight of liver and rum crew, to Conan, we can't ill, all Howar's Eve. What a meandral tale to unfurl, and with what an end in view to squatter and anti-squatter, and post-pronon T-squatter. To say to us, to be very Tim, Nick and Larry of us, Sons of the sod, sons, little sons, ye and little, little sons, when us's not to be, every Sue sis Sally of us, Doctors of Nad, accusative age, sire, damn and dan to infinities. True, there was in near us, dear boys, as yet no lump and papier in the waist, and mountain pen, still grown for the maces to let flee. All was of agency. You gave me a boot, signs on it, and I ate the wind. I quizzed you a quid with what for what, and you went for the quad. But the world, mind is, was, and will be writing its own runes for ever. Man, on all matters that fall under the ban of our infra-rational senses, for the last milch camel, the hard vein throbbing between his eyebrows, has still to moor before the tomb of his cousin Charmian, where his state is tethered by the palm that's hers. But the horn, the drinking, the day of dread are not now. A bone, a pebble, a ramskin, chip them and chop them, cut them up always. Leaves them to terror cook in the mothering pot. And Gutenberg, with his Cro-Magnon charter, tinting fast. And great primer must once for omnibus step rubric read out of the WordPress, else there is no virtue more in alcoholin. For that, the wrapped one warms is what papier is made of, hides and hints, and misses in prints, till you finally, the not yet end like, meet with the acquaintance of Mr. Typus, Mistress Taupe, and all the type topies. Full stop. So you need hardly spell me how every word will be bound over, to carry 70 top tipsical readings throughout the book of Durbelens Gined. May his forehead be darkened with mud who would thunder, till Darleth Mahamahuma, who oped it closest thereof, the door. Cry not yet, there's many a smile to nod them, with city maids per man, sir, and the park so dark by kindle light. But look what you have in your hand self. The movables are scrawling in motion, marching all of them ago, in pit-pat and zing-zang, for every busy earwigs a bit of Tory-tale to tell. Once upon a time when two behind the lettuce leap, and three's among the strubbly beds, and the chicks picked their teeth, and the dorm key he began. You can ask your ask if you believes it. And so could it be only wallops of heels, that one of a wife with faulty barnets, for then was the age when hoops ran high, of a Noach and a chopwife, of a palm full grave, and a family of levity, or of golden youths that wanted gelding, or of what the mischief made a man do. Mal married he dad. He was reverse aghast by the frisk of her frasks, and by a pretty perique. May fay she's lagay, the snaky woman, from the tripiary toe expectant bellic, veil valentine eyes, sees the very besh Vinny blows nay on good, flew in, flow on, her boor, so it's sure it was her not, we, but lay it easy, gentlemen, we are rearing of a Norwig, so weeny veeny teeny, comes ye see, het wissift e newt, lissum, I am doing it, hark the corn entreats, and the lot notes brittle. It was of a night, late, lang time ago, in that Alstate eld, when Adam was delving, and his madamine spinning water silts, when Mulk Mounty Nut Man was every bully, and the first leal river robber that ever had anyway, everybody to his love-saking eyes, and every Billy lived alone with everybody else, and Jarl Van Hooter had his burnt head high, up to his lamp-house, laying cold hands on himself, and his two little Jiminies, cousins of Owen, Christopher and Hilary were kick-a-heeling their dummy on the old cloth floor of his home-made castle and earthen house, and Dermot, who come to the keep of his inn only the niece of his in-law, the prank queen. And the prank queen pulled a rosy one and made her wit for nince the doer, and she lit up and fireland was ablaze, and spoke she to the doer in her petty Perusian, mark the ones, why do I am a look like a poss of porter-peas? And that was how the skirmishes began. But the doer hand-worded her grace in douche nosur, shut. So her grace O'Malley's kidnapped up the Jiminy, Christopher, and unto the shandy westerness she ran, and Jarl Van Hooter wallaced after her with soft doveskill. Stop! Dee stop, come back to my ear and stop. But she swore did it to him. Unlikelihood. And there was a brain of ill that some Sabbath night a falling angle somewhere in Erio, and the prank queen went for a 40 years walk in Tualamond, and she washed the blessings of the love spots off the Jiminy with soap silver suddles, and she had her 4 owl masters for to torch him with him tickles, and she converted him to the unsure all good, and he became a luderman. So then she started to rain, and to re-red Tom, she was back again at Jarl Van Hooter's, in a brace of samers and the Jiminy, with her in a pinifrod, lace at night and at another time. Where did she come but to the bar of his bristlery, and Jarl Van Hooter had his bath all, though bruised heels drowned in his cellar malt, shaking warm hands with himself and the Jiminy Hilary, and the dummy in their infancy were below on the tear-sheet, ringing and coughing like Broder and Hister. And the prank queen nipped a paley one and lit it up again, and red cocks flew, flapping from the hill combs. And she made her witter before the wicked, saying, mark the try. Why do I am a look alike to poss of porter-peas? And shut, says the wicked, hand-wording her majesty. So her majesty, a forethought, set down a Jiminy, and took up a Jiminy, and all the lily pathways to romance. Lad, she rained, and Jarl Van Hooter bleathed after her with a loud finagle. Stop, Dome, stop, come back with my earrings, stop. But the trank queen swore did. I'm liking it. And there was a wild old Grandivale that Lawrencey night of star shooting somewhere in Ario, and Frank Queen went for a 40 years walk in Turnlameme, and she punched the curses of Crumcruel and the nail of the top into the Jiminy, and she had her 4 larksical monatrix, and touched him his tears, and she provoted him to the one certain all secure, and he became a Christian. So then she started raining, and in a pair of changes bedomed her, she was back again at Jarl Van Hooter's, and the Larry Hill with her under her a vomit. And why would she halt at all, if not by the ward of his mansion home, of another nice lace for the 3rd charm? And Jarl Van Hooter had his hurricane hips up to his pantry box, ruminating in his hold for stomachs. Dare, oh dare, and the Jiminy tougher trees and the Duminy were below on the watercloth, kissing and spitting and roguing and poiging, like knave poultry and knave bride, and in their sick infancy. And the prank queen picked a plank and lit out and the valleys lay twinkling, and she made her wittest in front of the archway of triumph, asking, mark the tris, why do I am a look like 3 poss of porter-peas? And that was how the skirmishes end up, for like the Campbells are coming with a 4 glance of lightning, Jarl Van Hooter bore an urges himself, The old terror of the dames, came hip, hop, handy hop, out through the pike-opened archway of his 3 shutting castles, in his broad ginger hat and his silver collar, and his alabuff hemmed, and his bull-bragging socks and gloves, and the Ladbroke breeks, and his catgut bandolier, and his fur-framed pannucular cambots like a rud-yelling grub-blade orangeman in his violent integration to the whole length of his bowman's bill, and he clopped his rude hand to his itchy hitch, and he ordered, and his thick switch spick, for her to shut up shop, dappy, and the duppy shot, the match shut a clip. Pergot husk, a run barge groe, a cock gole, a grom gremit, 100 rum, a tunna, randida little fate, itilabum ulla ung, unagun nun. And they all drank free. For one man in his armour was a fat match always for any girl's undershirts, and that was the first piece of alliterative poetry in all the flaming, floody, flatterous world. How Kersey the Tyler made a sweet unclose to the Narwhalian capital. So afore shalt thou see, between ye and be, the prank queen was to hold her dummy ship, and the Jimimies was to keep the peace wave, and Van Hoover was to get the wind up. Thus the hearsomeness of the burgher felicitates the whole of the polis. O Phoenix culprit, ex Nichilau Marlau, comes Michaelmas Bodum, Hill Rill, ones in company, billeted less be proud of, breast high and bestride, only for that these will not breathe upon nor Venetian or Arenian, the sequest of their Susalosness. Quarry Celesque, Home Free, Doanzwa, Undi Gentian Festines, Livia Noanzwa. Vulcan cap is on him frowned, or the Orient, he would eavesdrip, where it moose at hand, where a din of bottles in the far ear. Murk his veils are darkling, with lips she lipseth to him all the time, of thus and such, and thou, she and she, ho she ha, to la, Herr Fluke. If he could bad twigger, impalpabunt, he beers, the sound waves are his buffeteers, they trump him with their trumps, the wave of Rory and the wave of Hoosht, and the wave of a horde, and the wave of never heed hem horse lugger sandlistle to mine, Landloughed by his neaghboormistress, and perpetrified in his offsprung. Sobs and suckers the moaning pipers could tell him on his faceback. The louthly one, whose loab we are, devourers of halibutt for his old halibutt, or her to her pudor biff, the lipalip, one whose libe we drink at, how biff for her tiddywink of a windfall, how breed and washer gifts there would be, not a holy spier on the town, nor a vestal flouting in the dock, nay to make plain avowals, nor you nor an I to play cash in Novo Nilbud, by swamplight nor a tool at all, a noddy hint to the conveyance. He dug in and dug out by the skill of his tilth for himself and all belonging to him, and he unsweated his crew beneath his auspice for the living, and he earned his dread, that dragon volant, and he made louse for us and deliver us to the boll weevils amain, that mighty liberator. Unverchigda ura vukru, and began he did. How ancestor most worshipped till he thought of a better one in his window's house, with that plush mantle upon him from ear's end to ear's end, and would again could whispering grasses wake him, and may again when thy fiery bird dismembers, and will again, if so be sooth by elder to his youngest shall be said, have you wines for my wedding? Did you bring bride and wedding? Will ye roof for my deading is a wake, us goid baum, and our muck and dool. Did ye drink me dawn ale? Now be easy, good Mr. Finnegans, sir, and take your leisure like a god on pension, and don't be walking abroad. Sure you'd only lose yourself in Heliopolis, now the way your roads in Capilavaster are that winding there after Calvary, the Northumbrian and the Five Bowers and Wadling's Raid, and the Bower Moor, and wet your feet maybe with the foggy dews abroad, beating some sick old bankrupt, or the Cotterig's donkey with his shoe hanging, clanketa chanketa, or a slut snoring with an impure infant on a bench. A bench would turn you against life, so 'twould. And the weather's that mean too, to part from Devon is hard as Nugent knew, to leave the clean, tanglesome one lusher than its neighbour and franchisable field. But lest your ghost have no grievance, you're better off, sir, where you are, prime signed, in the full of your dress, blood-eagled waistcoat and all, remembering your shapes and sizes, on the pillow of your baby curls, under your sycamore, by the keld water, where the Tories' clay will scare you of the varmints, and have all you want, pouch, gloves, flask, cricket, kerchief, ring, and umbrella, the whole treasure of the pyre in the land of souls, with Holman and Broyn Baroque, and Paul Old Nolan, and Nobbek and Nosler, and the Gungadis Khan, and will be coming here, the ombre players, to rake your gravel and bring in your presents, won't we, Finians? And it isn't our spittle we'll stint you of, is it, Druids? Not shabty little imagets, the penny dirts, and dodged mad eyes you buy in the Sortley stores, but offerings of the field. Maladoys, that Dr. Faherty, that medicine man, taught to gooden you poppy paps, a passport out. And honey is the holiest thing ever was, hive, comb, and earwax, and the food for glory. Mind you, keep the pot in your nectar cup, may yield to light and some goat's milk, sir, like that maid used to bring you. Your fame is spreading like Basilico's ointment since the Fantor Landloughed piped you overboard, or there's whole households beyond the Bondians and they calling names after you. The men here's always talking of you sitting around on a pig's cheek under the sacred roof tree over the bowls of memory, where your every hollow holds a hallow, where with the pledge till the drings in the salmon house, and admiring to your shoopershalag, where the palm sweat on high is the mark of your monument, or the toothpicks over ironers chewed on or chips chipped from the battery block. If you were bowed and soiled and let down itself from the owner of the load, it was that paddy planters might pack up plenty, and when you were undone in every point for the laps of the goddesses, you showed our labour lasses how to free war was easy. The game old gun, they do be saying skull, that was the planter for you, a spice of it all. Begog, but he was, the gog. He's done and gone now, and we're apt at finding the sores of his Sennick, but peace to his great limbs, the buttock, with the last league long rest of him, while the million-county lyre of Tusker sweeps the boil in main. There was never a warlord in great Erinnis or Bretland, no, nor all Pine County like you, they say, no, nor a king, nor an odd king, bung king, sun king, or hun king, that you could fell an Elm Street 12 urchins couldn't ring around and hoist high that stone that lay unfailed. Who but a maculagabor, the rice of our fortunes, and the thorny man at the funeral, to compass our cause? If you was hoggle-bully yourself, and most 50 like you was taking waters, still what all was where was your like, to lay the cable who was the better, could batter your grace, Mick Magnus Macaulay. Can you take off to the pure perfection and leather bags Reynolds tries your shuffle and cut, but as Hopkins and Hopkins put it, you were but the pale eggy-daggy, and a kiss to Tilly up. We calls him the journey old buggerloffer, since you went Jerusalem faring in Arsha manner. You had a game your cock and Pete Shake, or Barton, and your arch goose of geese doubled for All Angels' Day. So may the priest of seven worms in scalding table, Papa Vestre, come never near you as your hair grows wheater beside the Liffey, that in heaven, hep hep hooray there, hero. 7 times thereto we salute you, the whole bag of kits, falcon plumes, and jackboots. Incloted is where you flung 'em that time. Your heart is in the system of the she-wolf, and your crested head is in the tropic of Capricorn. Your feet are the cloister of Virgo. Your olala is in the region of Sallows. And that Asor, as you were born, your shook ticks swell, and that's there Texas's Dowlinin. The loathsome groam to Lafayette is ended. Drop in your tracks, babe, be not unrested. The head burial watcher of the temple of Isid, Totem Calmum saith, I know thee, Medjah, I know thee, salvation boat, for we have performed upon thee, thou abomination, who comest ever without being invoked, whose coming us unknown, all the things which the company of the precentors and of the grammarians of Christ Patrick's ordered concerning thee in the matter of the work of thy dooming, how of the shipmen, steep wall. Everything's going on the same, or so it appeals to all of us in the homestead here. Coughing's all over the sanctuary. Bad scrunt to me, influenza. The horn for breakfast, what a gong for lunch, and dinner chime, as popular as when Belly the First was king, and his members met in the diet of man. The same shop slop in the window, Jacob's letter crackers and Dr. Tillip's cocoa, and the Eswad's dissipated soup, beside Mother Seagull's syrup. Me took a drop when Riley Parsons failed. Cold short, but we've plenty of bog in the yard. And barley's up again, be grain to it. The lad is attending school, Nesson's regular, sir, spelling bees knees, with Hatanzi and turning out tables by mud application. All for the books, and never pegging smashers after Tomboy, Glasshouse, or Timmy the Tosser. 'Tis really the truth. No, isn't it, Roman Pathorix? You were the double-jointed Janet in the morning they were delivered, and you'll be a grandfer yet entirely with the right-hand Caesars, what the love-arm knows. Kevin's just a dote with his cherub cheek, chalking ogres on walls, and his little lamp, and his school belt, and bag of nicks, playing postman's knock round the diggings, and if the sheep were milk you could leave his old by his hide, but low's sake. The devil does be in that nerps of a Jerry sometimes. The Tower and Andan played boy, making an cost of income out of the last of his lavings, and writing a blue streak over his bullshit. Hetty Jane's the child of Mary. She'll be coming, for they're sure to choose her, in a white of gold with a torch of ivy to rekindle the flame on Felix Day. But Essie St. Annan has let down her skirts. You remember Essie in our Lourdes convent? They called her Holly Mary, her lips were so ruddy berry, and Pierre to blue rebel when the Red Miners' riot was on about her. Were I a clerk designate to the Williams Woods manufactures, I'd post her these powders on every jam in the town. She's making her rapid ladders twice nightly, with the tower brim tam-tammers of the whirly gig buggies. Beats that cachucha flat. 'Twould dilate your heart to go. Easy now, you decent man, with your knees, and lie quiet and repose your honour's lordship. Hold him here, Ezekiel Irons, and may God strengthen you, it's a warm spirits, boys. He's spooring Demetrius O'Flogedon, cork that cure for the clan carties. You swamped enough since sport to bellow, to float the Pomeroy, fetch near here, Pat Coy, and fetch New York, Pam Yates. Be near the angst of Ramowich, he is Lumbos. Where Misty Swadlum, where Mrs. Lodge none, where Misty's poor kind on, no sleepy sober yet. I've an eye on Queerbeard and old Kate, and the putter, trust me, she'll do no juggly-wuggly with her war souvenir postcards to help to build me muriel tippers. I'll trip your traps. Assure there. And we put on your clock again, sir, for you did or didn't you? Share stutterers. So you won't be a stump entirely, nor shed your remnants. The stern wheels crawling strong, I seen your missus in the hall, like the Queen of Ear. Ah, it's herself, that's fine too, don't be talking. Shirk's End, you story and Harry chap, long o' me Harry chap, story and grass, woman pelthy, good trout, shakes hands, dibble a hay fox, wrong with her, only her legs salig, bold timp, does be yawning and smirking cat's hours on the pollocksy, woolly round taboo cushion, watching her sewing a dream together, the Dale's daughter, stitched to her last. Or while waiting for winter to fire the enchantment, decoying more nesters to fall down the flue, it's all of a lunch that blows no pussy food. If you were there to explain the meaning, best of men, and talk to her nice of gold and silver, the lips would moisten once again, as when you drove with her to Findrinny Fair, with her reins here and ribbons there, all your hands were employed, though she never knew, was she on land or at sea, or swooped through the blue, like airing his bride. She was flirtsome then, and she fluttersome yet. She can second a song and adores a scandal, when the last post's gone by. Fond of a concertina and pairs passing, when she's had her 40 rings for supper after can, and ably dumpling, and isn't a Merlin chair sotted, reading her evening world, to see its smarts full lengths, or swaggers. News. All the news, death a leopard, kills fellas in Fez, angry scenes at Stormont, still a star with a Luckian going aways, opportunity fair with the China floods, and we hear these rosy rumours, ding tams. He noise about all same Harry chap, she's seeking her way, a chuckle in and out of their serial story. Les loves of Selskar, at Prevench, freely adapted to the Norwegian's Viv. There'll be bluebells blowing in salty sepulchres, the night she signs her final tear. The end. But that's the world of ways away. Till track close time, no silver ash, or switches for that one, while flattering candles flare. Anastasies, how are you? Were the waste in the noblest, say Adams and Sons, the wood-pay auctioneers. Her hair's as brown as ever it was, and rivied wavy, reposed she now, fin no more. For be that same sake substitute of a hooky salmon, there's already a big rowdy rab lad at random on the premises of his haunt of the hungered bordels, as it were told me, shop illicit flourishing like the Lord Mayor, or the barber room, letting flop, a deadlop a loose, to leave but lifting, a bent branch a yard along Ivore, the breezy side for Shome, the height of Bruce's chimney, as abroad below was Phineas Barnum, humphing his share of the shothers. It's thinking of him, he's such a grandfather, with a pocked wife in pickle, that's a fly fire, and 3 lice little clinkers, 2 twilling bugs and 1 midget pucelle. And either he cursed and recursed, and was ever seen doing what your 4-footlers saw, and it was never done, seeing what you cool pigeons know. Weep the clouds a boon for swell down witnesses, and that'll do now about the fairy bees and the frail she's. So Eset fibble it to the Zephyroth, and arts a zoom it round her heavens forever. Creator he has created for his creatured ones a creation, white monophoid, red theatrocrat, and all the pink prophets coalescing, very much so. But however 'twas, 'tis sure for one thing, that what Sheriff Torg voucher for us, and Mapkick makes put out, that the man, Hump the Chimney, as overseen as we thought him, yet worthy of the name, came at this time-coloured place, where we live in our parochial firmament, one tide on another, with a bum-rush in a hull of a wherry the twin-turbine Dow, the bay for Diabling, this archipelago's first visiting schooner, with the Wicklow pattern waxen wench at the prow for the figurehead, the Dead Sea dugong, dripping from her depths, and has been repreaching himself like a fish-rubber these silky 10 years, ever since he shebby by his shide, adge and aid, growing whorish under his turban and changing cane sugar into cellulose, starch. Tutut says to him, and also that bait in the bulkyhood. He bloats about when inebriated, our old offender was humiliated, commune and insectuous from his nature, which you may gauge after the by-names was put under him in lashings of languages, Honine sweet and praises be, and totalizating him, even Hamisem of Himasham, that he, sober serious he is he, and no counter he, who will be ultimately responsible for the hubbub caused in Edinburgh.